Good morning. Here we are today, Mr. Anil Naidoo, who is the project organizer for the Blue Planet Project of the Council of Canadians.
Yes, thank you.
We're here today at the NY+20 event at the Ford Foundation, supporting young people in sustainable development, and we're going to be asking you some questions. He was speaking at the opening panel, talking about young people and how we, or his generation, and generations before him are in debt to us. Now, could you tell us a little more about why you support this negotiations, why you think it's critical for young people to participate, and what is your hope and for the outcome of the negotiations?
I think that young people are involved whether they like it or not, because this is their future. It's our common future, certainly. But my opening of my speech was about the debt that I feel personally to my children, to the South, because I'm living in the North, and that to repay it, I chose to really speak quite bluntly about what I think is going on and a bit of the direction that we need to go. So to that, I mean, we're in the middle of negotiations that are going to decide the framework, the interaction between people and nature for the next generation. As we have these big conferences come up, they should not be ignored and marginalized as being environmental conferences or development conferences. This is where states come together and decide the way that we interact fundamentally with nature. And what is on the table here, when we talk about the green economy particularly, is a paradigm where the financial markets are being extended into nature. So we term this the financialization of nature. So this is one aspect, and it certainly is not that we, those of us that are concerned about it, don't believe that we need to make more sustainable choices, have a greener future. It's just that this particular model is one that has been built on the same things that gave us the financial crisis of 2008. And at that point, trillions of dollars came in, papered over the cracks, and we were told, it's fine, don't worry. Everything, we can continue to go forward. Well, out of that process came this idea that, what was the problem? The problem was that we didn't go far enough, they would suggest, in financializing nature, and that we didn't bring in nature into the capital markets, into the financial markets. This is what's on the table right now. With water, which is something that I particularly work on, you will see, if this model is implemented as it is envisioned by the few that are the architects of it, a property rights regime for water globally, massive movements of water, big dams, spot markets, speculation, and disenfranchisement of people from access to water because they will not be able to pay for it. It is also a derogation of human rights. So in July 2010, we got the human right to water accepted at the United Nations. And what we have now is that that will become hollow if this type of model is implemented, because, of course, the human rights cannot, it's very difficult for human rights and the market to exist in the same space. There are two paradigms that challenge each other. And what I'm suggesting, the people that we're working with are suggesting, is that we need actually more involvement of governments, not less. And it's not about big government, it's about setting the framework. Because we live in a world where corporate power, private power, public power have been butting up against each other, and we've certainly seen an imbalance from the time that the UN was first envisioned. And so with austerity, with the financial crisis that I referred to, we are seeing where governments are stepping back. They're saying, regulation is stepping back, the capacity to regulate. And instead what's happening is that we're moving towards what people would term a WTO for the environment. And the risks around that are certainly loss of control at all levels, the idea that we can speculate on nature, and that will create chaos in the pricing and in the way that people have access to their to the water, to the land, to the food. We saw it in the in the Arab Spring. One of the reasons for the Arab Spring was this food prices. It wasn't that after 30 years the people of Egypt said, can't handle the dictatorship anymore and we want democracy. People were having trouble putting bread on the table. Many other forces at play, but when you start to create that kind of chaos in the society, and this is what's happening around the world now as we reach peak everything, we have to look for a new paradigm. We cannot just do more of the same and say that we need to expand the model that we've been living under that is unsustainable. We have to say that model works for a certain aspect of our society. For the rest, for nature, we need a different model. The rights of Mother Earth, rights of nature, the right of a drop of water, so that we have hydrological cycles that work, that we don't stress the systems that we rely on, the ecosystems, the fundamental planetary boundaries. We don't reach the tipping points. We have to respect, we have to realize that we're part of nature, we're not above it. If we have that understanding, if we can implement a paradigm that is based on those kind of principles, then I feel much more secure about the future, much more positive about the future. If we continue to implement unsustainable practices, expand those models into nature itself, I know that there will be many, many people that will be deeply impacted, communities, the most vulnerable, and the degradation of our environment will not diminish, it will accelerate under that model.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Naidoo. We really appreciate that you came here to support youth and let us know the critical issues that are happening, especially in water and environment.
I'll say this though, talking to the youth is very important. Youth is not a monolith either. I think that what we have to hear also are from those youth that live in societies, indigenous societies, traditional societies. Their voices need to be heard here as well. I mean, we are privileged to be here in New York, to be able to, I'm certainly privileged to be able to engage with the negotiators and try to have some of these voices heard. But when you're in there, there is certainly a missing element of the voices of women, youth, small farmers, indigenous communities. There's not the effort made to really integrate that into the negotiations. And those are the people that are most going to be impacted by the decisions that are being made.
Great point.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure.